Let's dive into the Book of Mormon. Look at 3 Nephi chapter 14. Some really insightful teachings from Jesus.
Oh, absolutely.
It's fascinating.
Like when he starts by cautioning against hypocrisy right off the bat.
Yeah, like in verses 3 and 4.
Yeah.
He asks, "And why beholdest thou the mote that is in thy brother's eye? But considerest not the beam that is in thine own eye?
Right.
Or how wilt thou say to thy brother, Let me pull the mote out of thine eye?
Yeah.
And behold, a beam is in thine own eye." Wow.
It's like he really paints a picture there.
Yeah, you could almost picture someone with like a giant log in their own eye, trying to pick out a little speck from someone else's.
It's funny, but it's such a serious point.
Right. It's like, before we go pointing fingers,
Exactly.
we need to check ourselves first.
Self-awareness.
Yeah.
Humility.
Then he goes on just a few verses later,
Okay.
in verses 7 and 8, to talk about persistence in prayer.
Oh, yeah.
He says, "Ask, and it shall be given unto you. Seek, and ye shall find.
Right.
Knock, and it shall be opened unto you. For everyone that asketh, receiveth, and he that seeketh, findeth.
Yeah.
To him that knocketh, it shall be opened."
I love that.
It really makes me think about what I'm seeking,
Yeah.
how I'm approaching prayer.
Am I truly knocking?
Yeah.
Or am I just, going through the motions?
Then in verse 12,
Mm-hmm.
he gives this really profound advice. He says, "Therefore, all things whatsoever ye would that men should do to you,
What?
do ye even so to them.
Mm-hmm.
For this is the law and the prophets."
That's a good one.
It's simple, but so profound.
It's the golden rule.
Yeah.
It's amazing how easy it is to forget that. Yeah.
Just to think about others.
To treat others how you want to be treated.
Exactly.
We get caught up in our own wants and needs.
Absolutely.
Yeah. It's like that saying,
What's that?
you catch more flies with honey than with vinegar.
Oh, yeah.
Kindness and compassion. So much more effective
Then judgment.
than being judgmental. Yeah.
Then in verses 15 and 16,
Okay.
there's this warning about false prophets.
Interesting.
"Beware of false prophets who come to you in sheep's clothing,
Mm-hmm.
but inwardly they are ravening wolves.
Right.
Ye shall know them by their fruits.
Mm-hmm.
Do men gather grapes of thorns or figs of thistles?"
It makes you think about who to trust,
Yeah.
especially when it comes to spiritual matters.
Like, actions speak louder than words.
Exactly.
Look at what they do, not just what they say.
That reminds me of something I heard recently.
Oh, yeah.
It's
What's that?
a person's character is not determined by how they treat people who can do something for them,
Okay.
but by how they treat people who can do nothing for them.
That's so true.
Yeah.
Because it's easy to be swayed by charisma or outward appearances.
Right.
But how do they treat
Yeah.
the most vulnerable?
Those who can't do anything for them.
Yeah.
That's true character.
It all goes back to looking for those fruits.
Exactly.
Like, are their actions consistent with their words?
Yeah. Are they living what they're preaching?
There's a lot to think about there.
Definitely.
And then there's that sobering reminder in verses 21, 23.
Okay.
"Not everyone that saith unto me, Lord, Lord, shall enter into the kingdom of heaven, but he that doeth the will of my Father who is in heaven.
Right.
Many will say to me in that day, Lord, Lord, have we not prophesied in thy name? And in thy name have cast out devils,
Yeah.
and in thy name done many wonderful works. And then will I profess unto them, I never knew you.
Wow.
Depart from me, ye that work iniquity."
It's not enough to just talk the talk.
Right.
You have to walk the walk.
Like, what does it really mean to do the will of the Father?
I think it's about more than just outward actions. It's about aligning our hearts with God's will,
Yeah.
living in a way that truly honors him.
It's like building a relationship with him, not just following rules.
It's about getting to know him and wanting to please him out of love.
And trusting his plan,
Yeah.
even when it doesn't make sense.
Right.
That's where faith comes in.
Trusting that God is working all things together for our good.
Even when we don't understand, then to illustrate this point, he shares the parable of the wise and foolish builders.
Okay.
"Therefore, whoso heareth these sayings of mine and doeth them, I will liken him unto a wise man who built his house upon a rock.
Yeah.
And the rain descended, and the floods came, and the winds blew,
Right.
and beat upon that house. And it fell not, for it was founded upon a rock."
Powerful imagery.
What's your rock?
What are you building your life on?
Yeah, when the storms come.
Because they will come.
Will your foundation withstand them?
What will you be standing on?
All the things in life.
Yeah.
Like loss and grief and disappointment.
Temptation.
Yeah, if you're not grounded in something solid,
Right.
It's easy to be swept away.
Yeah. But if we're grounded in the teachings of Jesus Christ, those eternal principles of truth and righteousness,
we have that anchor.
That will hold us steady.
That's a comforting thought.
It is no matter what life throws at us.
Yeah.
We're not alone.
We have a Savior
who has already overcome the world.
And he's there to help us overcome our challenges too.
It makes you think, what kind of builder are you?
Am I building on a solid foundation?
Yeah.
Or am I building on shifting sand?
That will crumble under pressure.
That's a question we all need to ask ourselves.
Absolutely.
Well, we've covered a lot of ground in this first part.
We have.
Of our look at 3 Nephi chapter 14.
Yeah.
We've talked about hypocrisy, persistence in prayer, treating others with kindness, discerning truth from falsehood, aligning our actions with God's will.
It's a lot.
And building our lives on a solid foundation.
It is.
Stay tuned for part 2.
Okay.
Where we'll continue exploring these insightful teachings.
Looking forward to it.
From Jesus Christ.
Absolutely.
We'll be back soon.
Great.
To share some additional thoughts and insights.
Awesome. So picking up where we left off,
okay.
I find verse 6 really interesting.
Okay.
Where Jesus says, "Give not that which is holy unto the dogs. Neither cast ye your pearls before swine, lest they trample them under their feet and turn again and rend you."
Wow. That's powerful.
Yeah, it's a powerful image.
It makes you think about how we share spiritual truths.
Yeah, sometimes people just aren't ready for certain teachings.
Like they don't have the foundation yet.
Exactly.
It's not about being judgmental.
No,
It's more about recognizing that timing and context are important when sharing spiritual things.
Discernment, when to speak, when to be silent, when to plant a seed.
Okay, let's move on to verses 9 through 11.
Okay.
Jesus asks, "Or what man is there of you who, if his son ask bread, will give him a stone? Or if he ask a fish, will he give him a serpent?"
Right.
Then he says, "If ye then, being evil, know how to give good gifts unto your children, how much more shall your Father, who is in heaven, give good things to them that ask him?"
It's such a beautiful reminder. Like, even though we're imperfect,
we still want what's best for our children.
We want to give them good things.
Exactly. And how much more does God,
who is perfect love,
want to give good things to us?
His children.
Yeah, it's really comforting when you're going through tough times.
Yeah. You can turn to him.
Knowing he wants to bless you.
Even if it's not what we expect.
Yeah, I think sometimes we get caught up in our own ideas.
About what we need.
And miss the blessings he's trying to give us.
It's about being open to his will.
Yeah, even when it's not our own.
Trusting. He knows what's best.
Which reminds me of that parable.
Which one?
About the wise and foolish builders.
Oh, yeah.
How can we build on that rock?
In practical ways.
Yeah, like what does that look like?
Well, I think it starts with studying the teachings of Jesus. Consistently, not just reading, but pondering. Trying to understand the deeper meaning.
And then taking those teachings beyond head knowledge.
Right, putting them into practice.
Living them.
Yeah, aligning our actions with our beliefs.
So it's not enough to just say we believe.
It's about showing it.
In how we live.
In our choices, how we treat others.
It's a process.
A lifelong process of becoming more like Christ.
That sounds challenging.
It can be, but it's also incredibly rewarding.
How so?
As we strive to live these teachings, we start to experience a deeper sense of peace.
Okay.
Purpose and joy.
And that's what makes it worthwhile.
Knowing we're not just going through the motions, but we're growing and becoming.
Who we're supposed to be.
The people God created us to be.
I'm not about being perfect.
No, it's about progress.
Taking the teachings and letting them change us.
From the inside out.
And relying on God's grace to help us.
Because we all fall short.
We do.
But God's love and mercy are always there.
To pick us back up.
And help us keep moving forward.
I love that. Progress, not perfection.
Yeah. And knowing we're not alone in this.
We have each other and we have God.
Exactly. Even when we stumble, he's there to help us.
Like that verse in Proverbs.
Which one?
Trust in the Lord with all thine heart, and lean not unto thine own understanding.
Oh, yeah.
In all thy ways acknowledge him, and he shall direct thy paths.
Proverbs 3:5-6.
It's a reminder that God is always with us.
Guiding and supporting us.
We just need to trust him.
It's amazing how relevant these teachings are.
I know, even though they were given so long ago.
They still apply today.
To all the challenges we face.
Dealing with conflict.
Relationships.
Finding peace.
It's like a roadmap for life.
And they remind us that true happiness
doesn't come from external things.
It comes from aligning our lives with God's will.
Becoming more like him.
This has been a great discussion.
It has. We've covered so much.
And there's still more to explore.
We'll be back soon with part 3.
To continue this conversation.
So as we wrap up our look at 3 Nephi 14,
Yeah.
what really stands out to you?
You know what I keep coming back to? Is that idea of building our lives on a solid foundation.
Oh, totally. We've talked about it a lot.
We have.
But it just feels so important.
Especially today.
Yeah, with all the uncertainty.
Like in that parable of the wise and foolish builders.
Yeah, the storms came for both.
But only one house stood strong.
It all comes down to that foundation.
What are we building on?
Right? Are we building on things that will last?
Or things that will fade away?
Things like popularity,
possessions,
worldly philosophies.
Yeah, those things don't really matter in the end.
But the principles Jesus taught,
those are eternal.
Truth, righteousness, love.
That's what gives our lives meaning.
Stability, purpose.
Lasting joy and peace.
It really makes me think about my choices.
Yeah.
Am I making choices that align with those principles?
It's easy to get distracted.
I know the world is so loud.
It tells us what to value.
What to strive for.
How to measure success.
And a lot of times those messages
don't line up with the teachings of Jesus.
That's why it's so important to keep coming back to these teachings.
To stay grounded.
Yeah. In what's true.
In what really matters.
We need to create space to study.
Ponder. Let His Spirit guide us.
It's not just about Sunday service.
Right. It's about making those teachings
part of our daily lives.
Letting them shape our thoughts.
Our words.
Becoming more like Christ.
That's a powerful thought.
It is.
And a great place to end our discussion.
Yeah. Thanks for joining us on this journey.
Through 3 Nephi chapter 14.
It's been inspiring.
To our listeners,
yeah,
we invite you to keep pondering these teachings.
Apply them to your own life.
If you enjoyed this discussion,
subscribe to our podcast
for more conversations like this one.
Thanks for listening.